halfway through the weekend, and it's been a good one for the home teams. Welcome to NFL Total Access, presented by Mercedes-Benz. Lindsay Rhodes alongside David Carr and Rod Woodson, all here to show you how the Chiefs and Rams punch their tickets to the championship round. I don't know that we saw these games playing out the way that we expected them to.
No, they never do.
Necessarily.
They never. We always think we have it figured out before.
I mean, you think they're going to be a little closer because they're playoff teams, but it happens.
Yeah, and in terms of strengths and weaknesses and how we would attack, I don't know. Let's start with the late game that just wrapped up here in Los Angeles with a pretty big Cowboys contingent on hand, along with a few familiar faces. That's LeBron.
What?
With Rams owner Stan Kroenke, Peyton Manning with Kurt Warner. Peyton brought his son to the game. He told him he'd take him to whatever sporting event he wanted. He picked the Rams. Wore a Gurley jersey in the front half, Donald in the second. Both gave him reasons to cheer. Cowboys coming off a win last week against the Seahawks, trailing 3-0 before they could touch the ball. Found themselves facing a 4th and 1. Got the one.
Ooh.
And the Cowboys get even more than that because this was going on elsewhere on the field.
That's a history there because you got to remember Marcus Peters is in Kansas City. They play twice a year, so they got a little history.
Maybe they'd be offsetting penalties. Nope, they were not. It was just Peters for 15 yards. That put him at the 29. And then this happened here.
That was a great job. You catch him in single high safety. You got outside leverage. Running an F post is what they call it there in Dallas. Nice little slant route by Amari, and he does the rest of the speed.
But, David, how do you get a safety on Amari Cooper?
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
That can't happen.
No, it was Amari Cooper's first postseason touchdown. Todd Gurley's first game since Week 15. He sat out with a knee injury for a couple of games. They said he was fine, but we still saw a lot of C.J. Anderson, and here is why.
C.J. Anderson gives every running back that's sitting at home hope. I mean, he just looks like he's just comfortable in his skin, nice and thick.
Nice and thick.
And just go run it.
He's had a couple pork chops going down there.
Is that okay? It's a touchdown there for the Rams. Next Rams possession, Jared Goff looking for Gerald Everett. Incomplete. Flag on the play. Guess what happened here?
Little hand to the face. I don't know about that one, but
give him a crease.
And it's great that Sean McVay didn't forget that he has one of the best running backs in the National Football League in Todd Gurley early in the game, because they are at their best when they're running the football, and golf is play-action passing.
Well, it kind of went back and forth. You saw Rashard talking to Sean Lee and Leighton Vander Esch. An interesting story developing there at the linebacker position we'll get to as far as the Cowboys are concerned.
Great throw.
Meanwhile, midway through the third here, Dak Prescott to Michael Gallup for 44.
That was a huge play by Dak. On the run, great throw. I mean, that's really
Dak's playing really good football.
Yep.
And Zeke is always playing really good football. 1-yard touchdown there. Cowboys going for 2.
It's a good job. They brought out all-out blitz. Caught him on a little sprint pass right. Nice, easy completion.
All right, so now you guys, Cowboys, 23-15 is the score. Just under 5.5 minutes left in the third. Rams were dominating this game early on. Suddenly, we've got ourselves a game. Zeke stuffed at the line. Cowboys turn it over on downs. This is a massive, massive stop for the Rams defense.
Well, you want to go with your strength, but man, running it straight ahead with those guys is
with the 2 tackles that they have inside. It's a tough win for the Dallas Cowboys.
And then Jared Goff to Robert Woods. They pick up 18 yards. They're just chipping away down the field, doing what their offense does. And then Jared Goff here, 3rd and goal at the 1, no gain. So we've got a 4th and goal at the 1. What do we do?
You obviously go for it if you're Sean McVay.
And you give it to C.J. Anderson.
It's a great job. Zone blocking scheme's got guys moving. Found the crease, stuck in.
I mean, that guy was jobless a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that's crazy.
C.J. Anderson. It's just one of the best stories of the year.
It shows what a good team, a good environment can do for a guy. Bounced around 3 different teams this year and found a place.
It shows you what kind of talent might be sitting on their couch watching these highlights here, too. Dak flushed out, buying some time with his feet, looks for Amari Cooper in the end zone. It's incomplete, but...
And you always teach your DBs when the quarterback rolls out of the pocket, you jam him, but you can't jam him when the ball's in the air.
Aqib Talib called for pass interference. Yeah, well, it's a call. Cowboys with 1st and goal at the 1. 2 plays later, 2nd goal at the 1. Dak takes it in.
Still upset, I understand, because he gave him hope. They shouldn't have been in this game at that point. You know, Dak's scrambling around looking for hope, and he found it, and they stayed in this thing.
I love this call.
This is great.
I love the call.
I mean, they're in the game until this happens.
Because you have you got to think, it's 3rd and short, 4th and short, 3rd and short, fast-flowing defense. You're on the boot. The probabilities of making a mistake in that one is minimum. So
yeah, because the worst-case scenario, he just runs and slides, and the clock keeps running.
Absolutely.
All right, so it's 30-22, the final score. Rams are moving on to the championship round. The Cowboys' season is over, and Todd Gurley is with Steve Wyche at the Coliseum.
Todd, you see the energy. You see what you guys have done with this victory. What about coming out here after the layoff and pulling off a dub like this?
It was great. You know, we got the bye week. We got a prep week last week, and we was able to just focus in, lock in, and, you know, come in here against a great Cowboys offense, defense, and, you know, we got the win, man. It was big for us. The crowd came. Everybody was here. It was a great win for us.
You and C.J. Anderson combined for more than 260 rushing yards. You both go over 100. What about what that tandem was able to do against this defense?
Oh, man, C.J. been saying it all week. And, you know, we know it by just watching the playoffs. You got to run the ball in the playoffs. We was able to do that. C.J. came in, and he killed it today. The O-line, those guys was incredible. Golf, everybody, man. It took everybody. We got the win, so we did it together.
Your defense gets to stop here on 4th down. You guys take it 75 yards downfield for that big touchdown. What about that sequence to really seal it for you guys?
Complimentary football, man. You know, we believe in the defense, and they believe in us. And we was able to go out there and finish the game, and that's what we've been doing all year. So we just got to keep going, taking one game at a time, and just keep getting these wins.
Last question. With all the rushing yards, Jared Goff pulling it down at the very end. No one expected that of Jared. What about that play?
Oh, man, it was great. I know he wanted to go out of bounds so bad, but he couldn't. So it was great, man. Who would have thought Jared Goff would have ended up winning the game for us, but we love it.
All right, Todd, congratulations, man.
Yep, thank you.
You got it.
So Jared Goff finishes with 12 rushing yards in a game that was all about the Rams' rushing attack. Todd Gurley with 115 on the ground. C.J. Anderson with 123. The Rams rushed the ball 48 times compared to 28 throws and 273 yards on the ground. We knew that they had Todd Gurley. We've known that all year long.
Yep.
This added dimension of C.J. Anderson seems to be an interesting twist for the postseason.
And what I like about it, because when you're a tackler like me, playing on the defensive side, Todd Gurley is 6'2". So it's a little bit taller target, but then you get C.J. Anderson, he's 5'8"-ish, 5'9"-ish, 5'10". That's a little compactness. And when he lowers his shoulder, you got to get really low. So, you know, I really like what Sean McVay did, and bringing in C.J. Anderson was a smart move.
I mean, he brought him in. I think we all thought that he was bringing him in because he needed a running back because Todd Gurley was hurt for a couple of games. Do you think he just saw that he still had something and that this wasn't the plan originally, do you think?
No, I mean, obviously not, but it's a veteran guy that you know you can bring in, and if he has to play in 3rd down situations, he'll understand protections. He can spell Todd. Obviously, Todd's their guy. He's going to go get the bulk of the carries, but it also keeps him fresh throughout the entire game. You put CJ in there and give him some real carries. He obviously still has a little bit left. It helps Todd a lot.
Well, and the O-line certainly helps, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the O-line's going to help in the running game, but it's going to help protecting the quarterback. And when you can run the ball and you play action pass, that slows down that defensive front.
How'd they do it today against this particular defense, which was so good at stopping the run all year long? 273 rushing yards.
What I really love that Sean McVay did not forget that he has Todd Gurley. And if we go to the XO, you're going to see right here is C.J. Anderson. And a lot of moving pieces. And when you have moving pieces like this for a defensive front, your discipline is going to be challenged. It was challenged here, a wide open hole. He went downhill. He looked like he had some fresh legs in this football game. And then Todd Gurley, one of the best running backs in the National Football League, just a little stretch play, very patient. He goes back up the field. Once he hits this hole, you're not going to tackle Todd Gurley in the middle of the field. That's a win-win for the Rams. And I'm glad that Sean McVay didn't just realize that he had him, because sometimes throughout the year, he would forget that Todd Gurley was there, and he would just constantly throw the football. But he remembers his strength of his football team, and they played to that today.
20 more rush attempts than pass attempts today. I would say that he definitely didn't forget about the guys behind Jared Goff. How about what the Rams defense did in this one, too, though? Because they've taken a lot of flack this year.
Well,
they've got the stars,
right.
but statistically, they've given up a ton of yards and a ton of points. And then you've got the #1 rusher coming into town, and they hold him to 47 yards on the ground.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the whole story, because all they've heard is how bad they are at run defense. And if you tell Ndamukong Suh and Aaron Donald that they're terrible at run defense, of course they're going to take that, and they're prideful guys, great athletes, great players. They're going to go out just like they did tonight, and they went out and they stopped the run. They got in the backfield, they penetrated. Here you're going to try and run away from Aaron Donald. And it's the best tackle, one of the best left tackles in the game, and he can't get to him. Troy Aikman alluded to it. There's no way you're going to make that play. No human on earth is going to make that play. And then Ndamukong Suh had a great game. He actually stepped up, made some plays. He was physical, got in the backfield. If you can't block the nose guard in this league, you can't run the football. And the center's 3 yards deep. How are you going to make any decent gain when your center's 3 yards deep? And then over the top, 4th and 1, great push. The defensive line's in the backfield. This was Suh again. But that was the key. That was exactly the entire game. 20 carries, 47 yards. You can stop that. You make Dak beat you. Yes, he made a couple plays, made a nice throw to Amari early, had the touchdown pass, but they were always consistently behind because they didn't have that consistent 3, 4, 5 yards a pop. They just couldn't get going.
If you're the Cowboys, what's going to keep you up tonight?
Well, because you're right there.
You were there with one of the best teams in the league.
You're right there. You came in. I think you just started out slow. You can't start out slow in the postseason and think that everything's going to be okay, because normally your weaknesses come to the forefront in the postseason, and they let some things get away from them. But they have a good young football team. Yeah. I like the quarterback. I like Dak. I think he still has a higher ceiling. You got Amari Cooper, who came in, and we saw what Amari can do with this system. We got a great running game. You got a good offensive line. You got a young defense that flies around to the football like no other defense. So they got a lot of good pieces.
The linebackers, they did an interesting rotation at linebacker today. They haven't been doing this year with Sean Lee and Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch. Did you think that was the right call now?
It was a little weird. You normally don't do that especially in the postseason like that. I do know, listen, Sean Lee, when he's not hurt, he was for years, and then Vander Esch comes in and Jalen comes in, and those guys are playing so fast and so good. I don't know if I would have made that call, but they made the call. It just seemed like they were out of sync at times because they were flowing sometimes too fast. Mm-hmm. Some guys are out of gaps, and we saw Richard at halftime, or really going into halftime, very upset at him.
Did you see a formula today from the Rams that you think can beat the Saints or the Eagles, regardless of who wins tomorrow?
Yeah, absolutely. It all starts with Todd Gurley and that offensive line, who we heard during the broadcast. Those same 5 guys have played every down this entire year together. So it's the continuity factor with that offensive line. It's all about the run game. Sean McVay's offense goes as Todd Gurley and the run game go because they play action pass. They're under center. It's pretty much an unconventional looking offense by today's NFL standards because they are so underneath center, hand the ball off, zone runs, and then we'll keep bootlegs out the backside, which won us the football game with Jared Goff late in the game. So absolutely, this can travel. This can win at home. This can win in the Super Bowl. This can win in the Superdome. It can win anywhere it has to. So I like this a lot.
As long as it does travel, I suppose, right?
Yeah,
because we said that about the Cowboys last week. The defense, the run game, those are the things that travel. And they didn't well enough today to get the win. Jason Garrett addressing the media just moments ago.